Hello, and welcome to the launch of the DNC's AAPI signature program, Margin of Victory. My name is Eric Salcedo. I'm the API Coalitions Director here at the DNC. In 2020, we saw API voters become the margin of victory for the Biden-Harris campaign across key battleground states. For example, in Georgia, winning the state by less than 12,000 votes would not have been possible without the nearly 62,000 vote increase of API voter turnout. When API voters turn out, Democrats win. So what were the keys to our 2020 success? We turned out our community by calling and texting API voters with multilingual phone banks and text banks. We activated our family, friends, and local networks to talk about why it is important to vote for Democrats up and down the ballot. Folks, in order for President Biden, Vice President Harris, and Democrats to keep delivering for our communities and our country, our mission for the midterms is the same: to persuade and turn out AAPI voters and be the margin of victory. We must be the margin of victory in Senate and gubernatorial races in states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, New Hampshire, and Wisconsin. We must be the margin of victory in key congressional races in California, New Jersey, Nevada, and Virginia. I am proud to say that in this cycle, we have begun organizing and investing in the API outreach earlier than we've ever had. In Wisconsin, our API director has been on the ground there for over a year, organizing throughout the state. We also have API directors in Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and an Arab American outreach director in Michigan. Tonight, you'll be hearing from them about the work they are doing on the ground and the many ways you can get involved. You can sign up for a multilingual phone bank, reach out to friends and family, and door knock in your neighborhood. We'll also be hearing from some of our key national affinity group partners like South Asians for America, SAFA, about how they are organizing to turn out South Asian voters across the country. Please join us. Text AAPI to 43367 to learn more about our next steps, like our National Relational Organizing Training on August 17th, and our National AAPI Week of Action at the end of this month. Again, text AAPI to 43367. Learn how you can be the margin of victory. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker. She is the chair of the DNC's AAPI Caucus. And I'd like to also use her community title, which also happens to be my favorite, Ma Bell. We are so fortunate to have her leading us in this critical midterm election. DNC API Caucus Chair, Bell Leong-Hong.
Hello, Democrats. Welcome to this wonderful kickoff of the Margin of Victory. This is our battle cry, and indeed, this is what we're going to use going forward through this summer of activism and organizing, all the way until November, when we will win the election in the midterms. We have a great lineup for you tonight. Our DNC chair, a very dear friend, but also a huge supporter of our community, will be here with us. He is not only our chair, but he really gets it. He's always here supporting us. We also have my very dear friend and Vice Chair, Senator Tammy Duckworth. She took time out to make this recording for us during the this huge, long Votorama session this last weekend. She is an indomitable warrior, and she is always fighting for each and every one of us. I hope you will be welcoming her a little bit later. We also have my very dear friend and fellow warrior, Representative Grace Meng. She and I traveled around the country before the COVID, and I sure hope that we can do it again soon. And so many, many more. I have to tell you that this last week has been an absolutely amazing week. So many positives that it help us renew our confidence that we can and that we will win in November for the midterms. 2 years ago, we, all of us, you and I, were together trying to win back our country, trying to get us back to a moral compass that we had lost over the preceding 4 years. Today, we have had 2 wonderful years of an administration that really cares. Our President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris cares for us very deeply, and they not only talk the talk, but they also walk the walk. They have delivered for all of us. In particular, they have paid attention to us. We are seen. They right after they took office, they signed the COVID-19 Anti-Hate Act, which our own Congresswoman Meng introduced as a bill. They also went down to Atlanta, Georgia, following the atrocious shooting of the 6 AAPI women that were working in salons. They signed into law the creation of the AAPI Museum. And as though that was not enough, they show that they care for us in every way that matters. At every turn, they're there for us. The hallmark of this president and vice president is that what they promise, they deliver. And what they had promised during the campaign, we see now in reality as in the last 2 years of their administration. We have had an unprecedented number of really amazing accomplishments, and the trifecta is that this administration has a Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate that are working in close alignment to achieve results that benefits all of us. Such as the passage of the ARP, the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. Each and every single one of those laws has and will affect our daily lives, but together it becomes an unprecedented array of legislative actions and congressional actions that have helped us. But I must emphasize that the Congress and the Senate, our Democratic Congress and our Democratic Senate, are partners with this administration in getting these things accomplished. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because in this midterm, we must not only preserve this our majority, but we must increase it. In fact, in the Senate, we must increase the majority by at least two votes so that we can get a lot more accomplished, and so that some of the atrocious things that have happened, like the Supreme Court decision abolishing Roe v. Wade and the tone deaf law that they struck down on guns, and to be honest, potentially a lot worse things to come. The only backstop that we have, the only way that we can combat this is to vote and to make sure that we get our vote out there to vote not only for the congressmen and the senators, but also in the legislatures and up and down the ballot and make sure that we that our Democrats continue to be in office. The fact that state legislatures now are which unfortunately there is a predominance of Republicans in those state legislatures. They have been moving towards taking away our rights to vote. So we're not dealing with mundane issues that that come and go. We're dealing with issues that will affect us, not only us in our lifetime, but our children's and our grandchildren's. We are fighting for the soul of of democracy. We are fighting for each of us, and we must make sure that we go out there, we get people out there to vote and to register to vote and then to vote. In our community, we have proven in the 2020 election that we are the margin of victory. And in fact, the reason that we have a majority in the Senate is because our community, our AAPI community, went out and worked really, really hard down in Georgia to elect the 2 senators that allowed us to reach that majority. That majority right now is very slim. It's a 50-50 split. And so we must make sure that we get at least 2 more so that we can pass laws that make differences for all of our lives. So I implore you to take heed that and to use as our battle cry the margin of victory. We AAPIs are the margin of victories, and we must be out there and organizing and outreaching and making sure that our parents, our friends, our acquaintances go out and register to vote and get out to vote. Thank you very much. And I wish you a wonderful evening, and hang tight because there is a wonderful, wonderful program ahead of you. Thank you.
Hello, folks. It's so good to be with you as you celebrate the launch of Margin of Victory. This is the DNC's signature program to organize and mobilize AAPI voters. You know, there's so many people to thank. First, I want to recognize our DNC AAPI Caucus Chair, the fabulous Belle Leong-Hong, for her fearless leadership. I also want to thank our current DNC Vice Chair, Senator Tammy Duckworth, and our former DNC Vice Chair, Congresswoman Grace Meng, for being tireless advocates for the AAPI communities. And I want to thank our staff, who have put in the hours to make sure that AAPI voters feel and understand how committed the Democratic Party is to earning their votes. My friends, we know AAPI voters made a huge difference in the 2020 election. We know they were an essential part of the coalition that elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. AAPI voters had the largest increase in turnout of any group in 2020. The power of this community only continues to grow. We don't take these communities for granted, and we're speaking to their unique everyday needs. Because an Indian American in Georgia and a Filipino American in Nevada have different experiences and priorities. And that's why we're launching Margin of Victory. With this program, the DNC is engaging in in-person and virtual organizing across the country. We're recruiting the folks who know their communities best to be ambassadors for the Democratic Party. Next week, on August 17th, we'll be hosting an AAPI-focused digital organizer training. And from August 28th to September 1st, we'll be hosting an AAPI Week of Action to get folks fired up to once again be the margin of victory in 2022. My friends, the stakes of this election are high. Republicans are threatening our health care, Medicare, and Social Security. They're threatening women's ability to access reproductive care. They're threatening the very foundations of our democracy, like our right to vote. Democrats, we are fighting for freedom and opportunity. And in November, we're going to show the GOP that the American people won't go back. We're ready to move forward, and we will do it together. Thank you for everything that you do for the Democratic Party. Now, let's go win this.
So the midterm elections in 2022 are coming up really quickly, and I don't need to remind you how important this election is for us as APIs and for the entire country, really. This year, personal safety and freedom to choose and, gun safety, democracy are all on the ballot. For me, top of my mind are two issues, which are women's reproductive rights and gun safety, because around the same time that the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a constitutional right for women to choose healthcare that they want for themselves, they also struck down a state law in my home state of New York that protects people with gun safety. So this kind of self-contradictory, kind of hypocritical decisions, these can only be fought back if we all get into the fight together. So, we are AAPI Democrats, and we are the margin of victory. This year, no matter what you can do, or however little you can do, maybe donate $1 or make some calls, or just talk to your friends and family, that would still be very helpful in our fight. For me personally, I have been working to build the pipeline with great AAPI candidates, including working with the Asian American Democratic Club to host seminars and forums for the future AAPI candidates, so we can see them and meet them. And also in my own capacity, I've been trying to mentor and use my own skill sets to help them, so we can all contribute and have a positive effect in this election. It's really important, and we should all get involved.
This November midterm elections will be the most consequential election of our lifetime. With the overturning of Roe v. Wade, not only reproductive rights, but so many of our fundamental human rights and issues like gun control are on the ballot. The Asian American Pacific Islander community is the fastest growing racial ethnic group in the country. And in 2020, we showed up in force, and we were the margin of victory, helping to elect Democrats and President Biden and Vice President Harris. In 2022, we will be the margin of victory once again. South Asians for America is fired up and ready to go and ready to organize. We have already launched our grassroots organizing efforts from California to Maryland to Wisconsin to Pennsylvania, with on-the-ground canvas launches, with phone banks, with days of actions and relational organizing events. Partnering with groups like Vote Riders, we are providing voter education, voter outreach materials in South Asian languages. And we are combating misinformation and disinformation in WhatsApp and other channels that is being pushed through against our community. It is time to get engaged and mobilize our community and to organize. And it is time to show once again in 2022 that we are AAPI Democrats and we are the margin of victory.
Hey everyone, it's Wisconsin State Representative Francesca Hong. We are mobilizing AAPI voters across the state, especially in our Hmong communities. Wisconsin has the third largest Hmong community in the country, and our Hmong leaders are working to build trusted relationships on the ground to make sure they know their voices matter. They deserve to represent everyone. AAPI voters are the margin of victory.
Hi, everyone. It's Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. I hope everybody's doing well. When it comes down to it, it's Democrats that are rolling up our sleeves and actually doing the work to help others rather than just helping ourselves and our own families. At every turn, Republicans are blocking critical opportunities to improve the lives of working families. While they continue to rip away a woman's right to control our own bodies, Democrats across the country are working to codify Roe into law. But we can't succeed at the national level without defending and expanding our majority in the United States Senate. Democrats are introducing and passing legislation to stop gas price gouging. We're looking to lower the cost for Americans and reduce inflation, even with our own little razor-thin majority. We must keep electing Democrats across the country to keep this progress going. And with the recent victory in Kansas, with defending a woman's right to choose, we know how important the grassroots movement is. And part of that is also the role of the AAPI population. In Georgia, with the election of Senator Warnock, we saw when young AAPIs turn out to help him be that margin of victory. In so many states across this country, over and over again, we are the 4% of the population that makes the difference between Democrats winning or losing an election. So let's make sure that we turn out the AA and HPI community in this midterm election. And I know that margin of victory will be critical in doing so and helping us celebrate this November. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from New York. I also chair Aspire PAC, the political arm of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. Thank you all so much for joining the DNC for the launch of its Margin of Victory program. It's fitting that this program is called the Margin of Victory. According to the 2020 census, the API community is the fastest growing community in our country. And in the 2020 election, it was the API community that increased its voter turnout more than any other community of color. The API community delivered wins in Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. It was our community that delivered the White House and the Senate to Democrats. We were the margin of victory for President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Our community should be proud of the difference we made in 2020. But the fight is not over. There is still so much at stake. Because Republican leaders want to undo the progress Democrats have made for our community. It was Democrats who moved forward legislation that I authored for our AAPI community, the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, and to also create a museum dedicated to our history in this nation's capital. It was Democrats who acted swiftly to protect our communities and pass gun safety legislation. And it was Democrats who pushed through much needed assistance for our community when we passed the American Rescue Plan. From PPP loans, tax assistance, the Restaurants Act, it has been Democrats that have delivered help to Asian American entrepreneurs. Democrats have also delivered for Asian American families, providing tax cuts for kids, monies for a vaccine, funding for schools, including local colleges, and rent relief. And yet, elected Republicans have stood in the way of progress at every turn. They voted against providing assistance to our communities during the pandemic. They refused to acknowledge the hate and discrimination and violence our community faced when it was happening. And they celebrated when a woman's right to choose was stripped away by the Supreme Court. Republicans just aren't fighting for AAPI priorities, but Democrats are. We see the API community, and we will not take it for granted. Democrats will reach out to our community by phone banking, door knocking, through email and text, digitally and on the radio, in English and in their own native languages. And we're calling on you to please do the same. Reach out to your friends and family and tell them how they can once again help make a difference in November. Their voice matters. We cannot win without them. Because we are AAPI Democrats, and we are the margin of victory.
My name is Kinn. I'm the Coalition's Director for the New Jersey Democratic State Committee. Our fastest growing community in New Jersey is our AAPI community, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. We have 10 incredible caucuses at the state party, from women, veterans, LGBTQ+, but I want to take this moment and highlight our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, our South Asian American, and our Muslim caucuses, for the incredible work they've been doing to increase the Asian American turnout in our Garden State. Last year, we had a record number of AAPIs on the ballot. In fact, we doubled our representation at the state level. There were many firsts. We had the first South Asian and Muslim women elected to the Assembly, Assemblywomen Sadaf Jaffer and Shama Haider, as well as the first Korean Assemblywoman, Assemblywoman Ellen Park. This year, we must turn out to protect our congressional delegation, including Congressman Andy Kim, our first Korean representative in New Jersey. We've been tabling at community events with voter education materials in at least 11 different languages, making sure folks' registrations are up to date, letting them know there are several options on how to cast your ballot, whether it be voting by mail, voting early in person, or showing up at the polls on Election Day. We've been building relationships with community and faith-based leaders. In Patterson, one of our largest mosques is an early vote location. We've been making thousands of calls to women and AAPI voters to make a plan to vote this November, because it's not just abortion that's at stake, it's same-sex marriage, it's the right to contraception, it's all these hard-fought rights and many others that are at stake. And in New Jersey, our AAPI voting bloc can be the margin of victory. To learn more or to sign up to make calls with us, visit us at njdems.org.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I am the AAPI Coalitions Director for All in PA, which is the Pennsylvania Democratic Party's coordinated campaign for this election cycle. We are so excited here in Pennsylvania to have an incredible team of volunteers, supporters, and leaders from all across the Commonwealth, and so grateful to so many of you who joined us for our official AAPI Coalition kickoff earlier this summer. Since then, we have been off to the races. Some highlights have been, we recently launched our AAPI grassroots leadership team made up of volunteers from across Pennsylvania. We have been tabling at community events, at a Chinatown Expo, an Eid breakfast, at Arab Community Day, connecting with voters in person, meeting them where they're at, and providing in-language voter registration resources for every person that we encounter, and allowing them to get connected to the party and to see the party in their respective communities as well. We also launched our Young AAPIs series recently and are gearing up for the fall and are so excited for all that's in store for this coalition. I know the question that is top of mind for everyone is how you can get involved in supporting the work that's happening here on the ground in Pennsylvania. So what I'll say is, number one, you can follow us on Instagram at aapi.allinpa, where you'll get our latest updates and can stay connected to all that we're doing as an AAPI coalition. Number two, if you email me at slin@allinpa.com, I would be happy to send you a link to our AAPI Coalition Action Form, where you can indicate your interest in our different volunteer teams and opportunities. We'd love to get you plugged in ASAP. And finally, number three, you will be hearing a lot about our National AAPI Week of Action, and we'll be hosting a number of virtual and in-person events here in Pennsylvania as part of the AAPI Week of Action. We'll have a phone bank, a text bank, in-person voter contact opportunities as well. And so we'd love to get you plugged in there. There will be more details released in Eric's DNC newsletter, and would love to get folks here on the ground and also plugged in virtually to all that's happening with our coalition. But thank you all so much just for your support, for your energy, for your commitment to reaching AAPI voters, not only in Pennsylvania, but across the country. We know that our community's voices matter, and so we are so grateful just to have your support in this work. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, my name is Wong Engel, and I am the Deputy Coalitions Director at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. And here in Wisconsin, we are working hard in our battleground state to re-elect Governor Tony Evers, re-elect Attorney General Josh Kaul, send Mandela Barnes to the U.S. Senate, and elect Democrats up and down the ballot, all across our state. But we definitely need your help. So far this year, our coalitions team has been working hard to meet voters where we're at. I actually am recording this at Meng Wausau Festival, which is one of the biggest Hmong celebrations in the country and definitely the Midwest. It's been such a great time getting to talk with voters and encouraging them to reach out to their friends and families to go with them to the polls, because we know that's how we get our people to use their voice and to cast their ballot. You can join us. We need all the help that we can get in Wisconsin. We are going to have an AAPI Weekend of Action happening the end of August 27th and the 28th, where we're going to have a nationwide phone bank where you can join us and help us call folks all across this great state. Thanks everyone, and we're going to win this fall.
The video that you are about to watch represents the combined efforts of 6 performers, 1 composer, 1 orchestrator, and 3 casting associates over 6 states, shooting and editing in roughly 72 hours. All of this out of love of country and community. These volunteers can carve time out of their very busy schedules, many of whom were on roads doing national tours and regional workshops, to teach themselves music, to record and light themselves and whatever equipment they had in whatever room they had available, all to honor those who came before and elevate those who will come after. As the song suggests, each is a keeper of our collective legacy. So it is with deep gratitude and great pride that we present Keepers of Legacy, with words and music by Timothy Wong, arrangements by Isaac Harlan, featuring performances by Joan Almedia, Christine Toy Johnson, Raymond J. Lee, Joshua De La Cruz, Jose Yana, and J.G. Makapuge, with special thanks to Tim Huang, who devoted a lot of efforts to this. Thank you very much. Take it away.
Every time I think about how darkness drowns out the light, I lose a little bit of hope. I do. And every time I remember the sacrifices my mother and father and family made to get me here, I almost cannot cope.
Then I go and I turn on the TV news and I see tragedy unfold in real time, and I'm left wondering what it all was for. That's when I realize it's not a compromise. You cannot walk if I don't stand. So I stand. 'Cause there's you and the person you are and the things that you do that make this fight worth fighting. You and the people you carry that makes the next chapter in this book worth writing. Words out loud have never rung more true.
So thank you.
I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I can't justify sitting on my hands anymore. I can't and I won't, 'cause if there's a chance that the voice that I've been given can break the silence that's kept the song from being heard, how can I not try?
'Cause there's you and the person you are and the things that you do that make this fight worth fighting. You and the people you carry that makes the next chapter in this book worth writing. Heart beats loud, together we are strong.
I'm not wrong.
I am the keeper of legacy. Keeper of legacy.
I am the dreamer who wants a more perfect world.
Now it's time to stand up and to be heard. 'Cause there's you and the person you are and the things that you do that make this fight worth fighting. You and the people you carry that makes the next chapter in this book worth writing. Voices sing in harmony and bliss.
Now hear this.
In his first week of office, President Biden signed a presidential memorandum to establish official policy to ensure that the federal government stands up against racism, xenophobia, nativism, and bias in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Biden administration also ratified into law the American Rescue Plan, which provides a lifeline to millions of Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander families who are struggling from the economic and health impacts of the pandemic. The ARP is reducing poverty, expanding relief for mixed status families, and keeping families housed.
After 4 years of relentless attacks on LGBTQ+ rights, the Biden-Harris administration has taken historic actions to accelerate the march toward full LGBTQ+ equality. from protecting the civil rights of every American to ensuring that LGBTQ plus Americans are leaders at every level of the federal government.
Though much progress has been made, there are still miles to go before we sleep. Whether it be the strongest among us or our most vulnerable, none of us are free until all of us are free. And we cannot be heard if we do not raise our voice. So get loud.
'Cause it's you and the person you are and the things that you do that make this fight worth fighting. You and the people you carry that makes the next chapter in this book worth writing. Words out loud have never been more true. There's no passage through this without you. There's no passage through this without. We're all